Just put a bunch of gummies in your mouth and then try to talk.
I'm trying to think of a line to say.
Chubby bunny. Just crease, crumple, and cram. You'll do fine. Because we watched Season 8, Episode 10, The Andrea Doria.
So, Katie.
Hello. Oh, no. This might be our last episode before the holidays, but we're not doing an ASMR eating gross things video. You're
just
chomping. I'm going to leave it all in.
Please don't.
You opened a pack of gummy bears immediately before hitting record.
They were on my desk. So, Katie, how did you like the Andrea Doria?
Okay, there's a point where I was thinking, like, this is a really good episode. And then Kramer took dog medicine.
Uh-huh.
Did you like this episode?
There was maybe aspects of it that I liked.
Yeah.
There was some forgettable aspects.
Mm-hmm. Are we talking about the same thing, or are you just like, mwah, the dog acting, perfection? I'm not talking about the coughing dog, who was a delight.
How did they train the dog to cough on command? I think George's storyline was probably the best.
Sure.
I think there were aspects of Elaine's that had some interest in them.
I have a question about Elaine.
Uh-huh. She's
still dumb?
Hasn't gotten any yet?
I guess not.
It was only one date with this new guy.
Yeah.
So, so the Andrea Doria was written by Spike Ferenstein, directed by Andy Ackerman. It aired on December 19th, 1996. Vulture.com ranked it as the 100th best episode.
Huh.
Screen Crush ranked it as the 105th best episode.
Wow.
And IMDb had it at a slightly higher 72nd best episode with an 8.4 out of 10.
That's a very good score. So what people remember about this is the dog. Kramer being a dog.
Yeah, I think for both the Vulture.com and the Screen Crush synopsis, Vulture was just like, Kramer dog, chef's kiss.
No.
And Screen Crush was talking about George's like recounting of his life to the tenant board, and like had a small note of like, Jerry becomes Newman.
So I was going to say, if you're going based on what you remember and you're not rewatching it, it's harder to remember the more subtle, funny jokes.
Sure.
And you only remember the broad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like if someone had rewatched it like we did, I think 100 is low for this episode compared to some of the other ones we've seen recently.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess they all have to go somewhere. They can't all be bottom third or top third. There's got to be a middle.
Yep.
So, I don't know. I wouldn't fight for it, but I kind of disagree that it's 100 best.
Sure.
Let's throw it back to last week when I asked you if you remember this episode.
And George looks for an apartment. Well,
I think you nailed it. I'll read the synopsis. George competes for an apartment with a shipwreck survivor. Kramer seeks medical care from a veterinarian. Jerry helps Newman get a transfer to Hawaii, although he doesn't help him.
He tries to help him.
You eating more gummies?
No, I put my pen down so I didn't click it because you yell at me.
I have to edit out all those sounds, including your knuckles. Stop it. So who are the guest stars?
The only guest star of note that I thought to mention was Tom Gallup, who played Alan, the stabbed, coffee-thrown, fork-faced boyfriend.
He's definitely a fork face.
He was in The Bourne Supremacy, The Bourne Ultimato, and he was in a dozen and a half episodes of Will and Grace.
I don't recognize his face.
No.
What about the shipwreck survivor? Who's he?
I don't know. I didn't know.
Oh, okay. So, on the unrelated cold open.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice, or have you noticed, that all of the cold opens, I'm going to call them, are outside?
Mm.
Is that on purpose? Because there's more things to like interact with or bounce off of on the street set than just like in Jerry's apartment? They can be doing different things, eating a hot dog.
Maybe, I don't know.
But I'd like to look back and see this season whether they're all outside, but I feel like they are.
You might be right. So they often, it'll mention the days that they filmed sometimes, and they'll often film the cold open on different days than the days that they film the episode. So I think they can just like film a bunch of cold opens and then just be like, oh, we'll use this for like whatever, right? And then they film the episode in front of a studio audience.
I wonder though, because I mean, Elaine's not in a lot of them, but her hairstyle changes a little bit. So you've got to use the right Elaine hair. You
can track the cold open filming by the
she's not in it.
Phases of Elaine's hair.
She's not in it much.
So this cold open, Kramer stuffs his mouth whole with food. How many takes do you think it took them to film it?
So is Kramer actually putting hot dog in his mouth or just bun?
I mean, he's putting something in his mouth.
Yeah. I'm going to say 12.
It was 6.
Oh.
I think that's a lot.
Yeah, for what it was. Like, was he laughing? Was Jerry laughing?
It said there was always technical issues.
Oh.
Like, can you imagine like having to do that? And they're like, we got to do it again.
I think they just wanted to with Michael Richards.
Maybe.
I wrote down for the cold open, hot dog hamster.
I wrote down in all capitals, eat, and then Joey Chestnut.
Yeah. Oh my God. We watched Joey Chestnut versus Kobayashi on Netflix. And wow, that was so disgusting.
Major League Eating is pretty gross.
So I guess I've only seen clips of it. And so in the clips, it's probably the beginning where they're like, nom, 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 nom. By the end, like Joey Chestnut is throwing water on his face and body.
It's incredibly messy.
It's so sick. I wouldn't call it eating. It's not eating. It's a different activity.
We haven't yet invented the verb for what those men are doing.
I think it's called food packing. I'm going to call it packing because you're really trying to like sit on that suitcase and push as much down as you can.
It's true. The patented Joey Chestnut wiggle or whatever it's called.
Oh, made me picture it. I'm sad he won.
You know he's younger than me?
That's the most shocking. He looks 70.
I think his choice of hobby, career, put a lot of miles on that body.
Kobayashi doesn't look old.
No, but he's Asian.
Yeah. Georgie's moving out.
He has a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, make your friends hate you.
I liked when Jerry said, oh, this is really getting annoying. George goes, it's working already. George is so happy to be moving out. I mean, I'm a little surprised because he's the kind of character who's content. Well, he complains about everything, but like doesn't change his station very much.
It's true.
Have we heard him complain about his apartment or?
I don't recall any of that, but I could see him like saying to the super, like, hey, if there's ever like a chance to upgrade.
Sure. And he does want to lord it over his friends, which tracks.
Yeah. I can't read my writing again for my next note.
Jerry needs to go down to the mini storage.
Yes.
Which he sublet part of to Kramer, which Kramer sublet part of to Newman. When he opens it up and the mailbags fall out, there are women's skates in there.
They did film a scene where Jerry finds Mr. Marbles in the storage unit.
Mr. Marbles?
Expels the germs out of the body and into the air.
So, I guess this is funny because we are in 2024 and coughing openly into other people's faces is now frowned upon. before, like, you just had to do a bit of a limbo to get out of the splash zone.
Mm-hmm. This was before coughing into your elbow was a thing.
The vampire. You ever hear it called that?
No.
You're supposed to, like, bring the cape across and cover your face with your elbow. It's the vampire move.
I feel like your elbow is a bad device for catching a cough.
Well, it's better than your hands because you're going to put your hands on other things.
So,
what about down the shirt?
I'm a fan of down the shirt. But like whenever I cough into my elbow, I feel like I miss the mark and I cough into the hole.
Yes,
that
below
my
your
elbow makes, like with my body, and there's just like a tube of
open space.
Of open space.
Yeah, we're all getting over coughs right now. None of us went to the doctor.
Nope.
What would they do if you went to the doctor? Be like, yep, you're coughing.
I remember one time pre-pandemic, I went to the doctor, I think just for a checkup, and then he was like, anything else? I'm like, I had a cold a little while ago or something like that. And he was like, oh, the next time you feel like you're getting sick, like, come on in here and I can give you some, like, retrovirals. I was like, really? He was like, oh, yeah, sure. And I was like,
God. Different times.
Yeah.
The Andrea Doria, it was quite a fire.
Shipwreck. Had you ever heard of the Andrea Doria before this?
No. After we recorded the last episode, we went over to the map and looked it up.
We did. It is on the shipwreck map that I have above my desk.
Go check the casualty count, because those are on there. It's off the coast of Nantucket.
Where is Nantucket?
I don't know where Nantucket is.
Andrea Doria, liner, 1956, in collision with Stockholm. Doesn't say.
Oh. It doesn't? Maybe 1,956 people died.
No, it happened in 1956.
So it happened in 56. This was in 96. That guy was 8 years old when the boat sank?
He's not 48 there.
12 years old?
So I do think... So I didn't know that happened in 1956 until we looked it up after last week's episode. And like I was waiting and checking to see if they mentioned that it happened in the 50s. Which like George does at one point. He says like, oh, it happened 40 years ago. This guy's still milking it or something. But I think that's a valid, like, you were in shipwreck 40 years ago. We need to give you an apartment now to make you feel better.
Also, in my mind, like, when was the Edmund Fitzgerald? In the 70s? Or in the 30s?
The song.
I know, the song was in the 70s. When did it sink? I don't know all the lyrics.
Back to the map.
Back to the map. Several people are shouting at us right now for not knowing. I know it was November. Did
it also go down off the coast?
No. It's like up in the James Bay or Great Lakes. Superior. Oh my God. It's on Lake Superior.
1975.
Okay. So yes, I was...
29 fatalities, I think.
That seems like... I know there have been sea disasters since then, but shipwrecks seem like a thing of the far past. Like Titanic era. Nobody alive should have been in a shipwreck. I mean, nobody alive should have experienced a catastrophic boat event like
unless they were on a Royal Caribbean cruise.
Well, George, I love the line where George goes, how many people you lose on a normal cruise? 30?
It's those people running down the pier after the boat has left and they were on their day trip.
Speaking of which, I had a dream where I kept missing a train that we were both running for. And you just kept getting on it and leaving.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. But the train barely stopped. Like, it stopped. You had to be ready to step on because it was still going. Like, it would go. And I definitely couldn't make it to the door you were getting on, but I didn't think in my dream to go to a closer one.
It was like a Ferris wheel that they don't stop and you have to like get off and get on all without...
Yeah. Thanks for abandoning me on a train in my dream.
I'm going to deal with this one for the next 4 hours.
Elaine goes, I love Edmund Fitzgerald's voice.
Is this when you questioned whether or not she was still stupid?
No, that was later when she said, I love shrimp. I'm a shrimpy.
I feel like that's within character. I think they just needed a reason for her to wave her knife around the air.
I think Elaine is still dumb.
Hmm.
I hope they resolve that soon. I think she's been dumb since they investigated her expenses at J. Peterman, and she's like, the president can't do whatever they want? She's lost her zhuzh.
The zhuzh that gave her the confidence to put the urban sombrero on the cover?
And to buy herself a new duvet. Kramer has written a book called Astonishing Tales of the Sea.
You laughed out loud when he...
I did.
Just rattled off. They were like asking about the Andrea Doria sunk off the coast of Nantucket, 1940.
51 people perished. I did laugh, and because it is a subtle, funny bit. I like subtle Kramer.
Not Dogman Kramer?
Not Dogman Kramer. When Kramer says he'll take a vet over an MD any day, they gotta cure a lizard, a chicken, a pig all in the same day. That's funny.
Yeah.
Him coughing out trouble at the old mill, not funny.
I mean, for the most part, whether you're diagnosing an animal or a human, it's like pretty much the same thing, right?
We should ask my cousin who's a vet.
Yeah. So Jerry goes to confront Newman about all of the mail bags piling up in his storage unit. We have a thoroughly depressed Newman sitting on his couch.
He's got a bay blanket behind him.
A what blanket?
A bay blanket.
Oh, from the bay?
From the bay. I didn't really write much about that. I was sort of watching Jerry and Newman.
You laughed out loud when Jerry was delivering mail.
Yes, that's later. That's later.
Yeah, it is later.
So I thought he was already helping Newman deliver the mail when he takes Kramer for the ride in the car. He's like, I got to run some errands. I thought he was already delivering the mail for Newman because it was in his apartment, right? Did he have Newman's mail there already? I thought so, on the table.
I think that was later. Maybe, I don't know.
I did laugh when Newman was like, you think he can handle it? He's like, well, yeah, it is just walking around putting mail in boxes. And I wrote down, I can't believe I'm going to be a mailman. And then mail on Sundays? Oops.
You found that very funny.
Jerry is laughing when Newman rips the patch off his own jacket.
He is. I don't really know why. Like, I guess it's kind of a funny thing to do, but this is your jacket.
So all Elaine really needs to do is ignore this comment. She doesn't need to go out with him again and show that guy that it's not bothering her that he called her big head. She just has to get on with her life.
Yeah. But I think it's like there's some like psychological phenomena where like when somebody points something out to you, you notice it more often.
Sure. Like when a friend of mine asked if I would get my nose fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just like, if he had never said this, a bird would run into her head and she'd be like, wow, that's weird. And not think about it.
Yeah.
Or a cab driver would have said like, oh, can you scooch down? I can't see out the window. She would have like not thought about it.
She has big hair. She doesn't have a big head necessarily.
Yeah, I think they're volumizing and maybe even using a bump it to like augment. I wouldn't say that Julia Louis-Dreyfus is a really big bobblehead. She's no like Giada Laurentiis.
Yeah, Giada De Laurentiis.
Giada De Laurentiis.
From the Food Network, who we call bobblehead.
Yeah.
Well, it's also a function of Giada De Laurentiis being extremely skinny. Probably never eats any food whatsoever. Whereas Julia Louis-Dreyfus is a healthy person.
Yeah, she loves shrimp.
She's a shrimpy. I mean, she has a square jaw. Maybe that makes her face look bigger.
Big blockhead.
That's not what I said. She calls herself a candy apple.
Talking of shrimp, did I ever tell you about the time I was at a fish market in Thailand and they were selling shrimp by the kilogram?
Is it by weight or by volume?
It It was by weight. And it was like $3 per kilogram. So I was like, can I get 2 kilograms? And they were like, oh yeah, this is awesome. Getting 2 kilograms, that's a lot of shrimp.
Yeah.
So some shrimp stayed in my fridge, and I think I ended up throwing it out.
That is one of the first dumb things I ever said to you when you told me this story when we started dating. And you said 2 kilograms of shrimp, and I said, is that by weight or by volume?
Yeah. And
then you drew a shrimp on my birthday card that year.
You drew a shrimp on my birthday card that year.
Oh, that was right. That was me.
You just dropped that, be like, and then you did that nice thing for me.
I legitimately thought you did it. And then now I remember that I did it.
Go back to thinking I did the nice thing.
Well, I forget his name. Alan? He must, he's got the power because he calls George chinless. And then the last scene is him tucking his chin in and worrying about it.
Okay. George does look kind of like a turtle escaping his shell. He's got like that green coat on.
Yeah.
If you had to suffer one of the fates that Alan did.
Getting stabbed, coffee thrown in my face, or fork in the head?
Yeah. Which one of those would you pick?
I'd go for restaurant coffee because it's never that hot.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Was it coffee or was it soup?
I think it was coffee.
Okay. Regardless.
Well, when she threw it, I thought it was cocktail sauce, so maybe it was soup. Again, it's not going to be that hot at that point. It's not going to feel good, but I don't think it would permanently burn you.
Yeah.
Like a Starbucks coffee with no cream in it would burn you could disfigure you.
Like McDonald's coffee that's hotter than boiling?
Yeah. Caution, hot.
Superheated hot coffee?
No. Restaurant soup that's been on the table? No.
Yeah. That's what I would take too.
Must be exciting to be stab-worthy.
He's so good that he drives the women crazy.
I also did laugh when Kramer said they botched his vasectomy. He's even more potent now. So George doesn't get the apartment. Newman doesn't get the transfer.
Elaine
doesn't get this stab-worthy guy.
A new boyfriend. Kramer's still a dog.
Nobody gets what they want.
Sometimes we don't get what we want.
Do you think Newman has a nice smile? You can see a lot of his teeth when he smiles.
No, because his, I don't know what the right word for it is, but the curve of his teeth is too flat.
Okay. Like his jaw is too wide?
Yeah,
you want to see more depth, not width?
Yeah, but not too much depth.
Oh, God,
it's a whole Rosie Jones situation.
Love Rosie Jones. Terrifying mouth. That's all the notes I have.
Yeah, me too.
I have some corrections from last week.
Okie dokie.
So, during the episode, I couldn't remember where I had heard reference to Alive. And first I said Tiny Toons, but then during the episode I said Simpsons, and that is where I had heard it from.
Okay.
It was the episode where Marge is afraid of flying. So Homer shows her some movies, including Alive. So that's my only exposure to that movie. Why did I write this correction?
I said that Dexter Morgan was the lead singer of The Offspring. You corrected me and told me what the real Dexter's name was. But Dexter Morgan is the character Dexter from the TV show Dexter.
I don't know why I wrote this correction. I'll just read it to you. Steve Coren is named after Seinfeld writer Steve Coren, who wrote the episode The Van Buren Boys, in which Steve Coren appears. That's a sentence from the Seinfeld wiki. I think I was looking up. Maybe he wrote the last episode? I can't remember. I need to leave myself better hints.
Steve Coren did write
The
Abstinence.
So I was looking him up. He also wrote The English Patient, which you referenced. You referenced the actual movie, but maybe you were doing a Seinfeld reference?
Yes.
Okay. I never know.
Which you didn't understand.
I haven't seen either the Seinfeld episode or the movie The English Patient. Something about a bathtub?
Sex in a bathtub doesn't work.
Okay. He wrote The Serenity Now, The Dealership, The Frogger, and Puerto Rican Day. He was a story editor on most of season 8. So blame him, I guess.
For what? For Puerto Rican Day?
For season 8.
Oh, okay.
That's all.
So what's up next week?
Next week, it's the holidays. When this comes out, it's already been Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy Chrysler.
So we will be back in the new year sometime.
Doesn't Hanukkah start on Christmas this year?
Yes. Happy Hanukkah.
We'll be back in the new year with an episode.
Sometime. Bye.
Merry Christmas. Believe it or not, this is our podcast. Please subscribe at the end. If you subscribed, we would be happy. Please subscribe to us. Believe it or not, it's our podcast.
Is that a Seinfeld reference?